Hello, I'm Teacher Dennis and welcome once again to another tutorial video in Dengs TV. Sa video na to, pag-uusapan natin ang vectors, yung resultant nila, at yung direction ng ating resultant. So, handa na ba kayo? Let's start! So, para pag-usapan natin at maintindihan yung lesson na to, meron tayong problem sa taas. So, compute for the resultant vector of these vectors and the angle. So, ang vector natin dito ay vector A, 7.4. Let's put a label here. So, mapapansin nyo, color-coded to, right? So, kung ano yung color ng ating font for the vector, yun din yung color ng ating mismong arrow papuntang baba, at yung ating label. So, again, vector A is 7.4 centimeters going to south. And then our vector B is 7.0 centimeters going to the west. So, in order for us to know yung resultant, okay, so pagdikitin lang natin to or i-draw natin ito from point to point. So, from here, yung 7.4, yung ating initial side. So, yung ating initial side ng vector A ay ito. That's the initial point. So, 7.4 pababa, going to south. Tapos, ang final destination natin ay yung blue point here, yung dulo ng ating 7.0 centimeters going to the west. So, all we need to do is to draw from the initial point until to the final point, and that will be our resultant vector. Okay? In order for us to know the magnitude of that vector, yung ating resultant, alam natin na if we're just talking about south and west, wow, buti na lang madali-dali itong ating problem. So we are lucky. So we know that these south and west vectors, these vectors going to south and west respectively, can create a 90-degree angle. And if the triangle is 90 degrees, then nag-a-apply yung mga SQRT natin at saka yung ating Pythagorean theorem. And ano nga ba ulit yung ating Pythagorean theorem? So the square of the legs, so let's have leg 1 at saka yung ating leg 2. So the square of it, so square natin each. So the sum of the square of our legs is equal to the, so hold on, let's just make it white. OCN. So let's have the sum is equal to the resultant squared. Okay, so whatever is our, so let's have it yellow. Okay, so let's have these yellow because the one that we are talking about ay itong R na to. Okay, so as you can see here, okay, so again, if we square the leg 1, so ganitong itsura nito, I'll be drawing it so that I'm going to draw a square here so that you will be able to visually remember na the square, the sum of the square of the legs is equal to the square of our hypotenuse. Okay, so there. So we're talking about our R squared here. Okay, so ang maganda sa OneNote, you can just type the values or the figures and you will be able to know the answer. So what I mean is that if you write the sentence, okay, the multiplication sentence such as 7.4 times 7.4 equals, and then hit spacebar or enter, and you will have an answer which is 54.76. So ibig sabihin yung ating L sub 2 squared ay 54.76. So 54.76 daw yung area na to. While yung ating blue or yung ating blue na leg which is 7, so pwede na natin siyang i-multiply. 7 times 7, we know that it is 49. So directly nating alam yan. Tapos, so this is our area for our 49. So the sum of this daw, okay? So the sum of this daw is our R squared. So what is the sum of 54.76 at saka 49? So once again, we can use the magic of our OneNote. So let's type it. 54.76 plus our 49 here equals, hit spacebar, and boom shakalaka. So R squared daw is equals to 103.76. So 103.76. So, ang kailangan natin talaga yung R. So, we're talking about this length or this magnitude. So, all we need to do is to use the function SQRT for the square root of 103.76 or the square root of r squared para makuha natin yung r. So type SQRT, open parentheses, you type 103.76, close parentheses, equals, hit spacebar, and there. Of course, you can use your calculator to verify, okay? So our value for our r, so our r then is 10 point, sige, i-round off na lang natin. You can have 186 or just 1.19. So it depends on your teacher. If your teacher requires you to have like 2 decimal points, 2 decimal places, just use that. Or kung tatlo naman, di follow para you all have uniform answers in your class. Okay, so that's it. The answer for our r, our resultant vector then, is 10.19 centimeters. There you have it. So that's for your resultant vector. And then, para lang ma-make sure natin in finding the direction na hindi tayo magkakamali. Just like, for example, what I mean is, kunyari mali yung ating resultant vector. Huwag na natin gamitin yon sa pag-compute sa ating angle. Instead, we use the vector A and vector B right away because it is the adjacent and it can be the adjacent and the opposite of our SOHCAHTOA functions. Okay, so let's have for example, I want to find the theta here. Okay, so my opposite then will be this blue. This is the opposite, which is 7.0. Ayaw magsulat. 7.0. So sorry, forgive me for the difficulties. So technical difficulties. And then our brown here is our adjacent dahil yun yung katabi. So that's why it is 7.4. Again, opposite is 7.0 because yun yung katapat. Ang adjacent, katabi natin, kaya 7.4. Okay? So we can use the tan function for this. Okay? So let's use tan theta. So using this function, we know that our opposite is, so the numerator will then be 7. Sige, gawin natin tong blue so that you could easily identify na, that is the blue thingy. Okay? And then brown sa ating 7.4. That is our adjacent. And that is our vector A. So vector B on top, vector B below. And then in order for us to know the theta, we reverse the function. So the reverse of tan function is the arctan, which you can just type as a tan. Okay, so you write a tan theta, tapos a tan, open parentheses, and then we place 7.0 over 7.4. And then equals. Okay? So, kung medyo nalito kayo ha, so this is just what I did. So, in order for us to know this, we will get the arctan of this function. Let's have white. Arctan of this, arctan of these. Tapos, whatever you do on the left side of the equation, you do on the right side of the equation. So, we will arctan this part. So, I will just write it. So, sige, arctan para lang makita nyo maigi. So, arctan and tan will just be cancelled out and then theta will remain here. Okay, you follow? So, visually na natin nakikita, right? And then, on the other side, it's just going to be arctan and then open parentheses 7.0 over 7.4. That's the reason why I just I wrote here a tan 7.0 over 7.4, which is 43. So your theta here, the pink one, okay, so theta is equals to 43 point, let's just have it as 41 degrees. Pero tapos na ba tayo? Not yet, because we know the angle, right? But how are we going to analyze it for your direction? So there are a lot of ways how to write the direction of your resultant vector. So kunyari, if we are going to plot it in our Cartesian plane, okay? Tapos ito yung ating kumbaga ito ang ating vector A. Tapos yung vector B natin, again, it's just here. So we can offset it somewhere here. Tapos ito yung resultant natin because if we draw it from point to point, something like that, okay? So in short, our our x component is the blue one, our y component is the orange one. So, alam nyo, okay, we know that the directions of, in our Cartesian plane or sa compass natin, we know that this is our south, this is our west, this is our north, and this is our east. Okay? So, if we figured out kung ano yung angle dito, we can write it, yung parang ito yung pinagsimulaan. Okay? So, south. So, you can write the direction as south, write the angle, which is the 43.41 because yun yung naiipit na angle. So, that's the theta. 43.41 degrees. Tapos, since papunta siya sa west, as you can see here, from south, pupunta sa papuntang west, right? So, you can just write W here, okay? So, you can write S 43.41 degrees W, or kung gusto nyo naman, okay, pwede natin tong i-rewrite na yung may off, okay? So, we can rewrite this as 43 degrees 0.41 tapos off. So, usually, kung saan yung pinagmulan, okay? So, we have it here. So, nanggaling sa south. So, we go, you place the south here. So, yun yung second na letter. So, tapos, west. Okay? So, since it's going to the west, okay? So, 43.41 west of south, kung ano yung pinagmulan. So, again, the second letter here indicates kung saan nagmula yung angle. Pero kung gusto nyo naman, nabaliktad, kung gusto nyo na maging south of west, so these are the three ways how you write the direction. Okay? Kapag naman gusto nyo na south of west, kailangan kunin nyo yung angle na complement nitong 43.41. So we all know na we just have to subtract 43.41 from 90. So 90 minus 43.41 equals, so it's just going to be 46.49. So you write 46.59. So as you can see, okay, so again, ito yung pinag-uusapan natin na theta. So let's have it as a beta. Okay, so ganun nga ba yung beta? Alpha ata yun. Nakalimutan ko na yung mga Greek letters. Okay, so here, so coming from the west, okay, so coming from the west, so that's the reference. That's why we have it as our second of west. Kanino ka nang galing? So, since you are going to the south, okay, you write south of west. Okay, so again, you write the angle. Okay, so hanggang dito lang siya actually. Okay, so this is the 46.59 from west of W. That's the second letter. And then the first letter is where you are going to. So since we're going from west, going to the south, we place S as your first letter. Okay, so there's a lot of different ways to write your direction. You can just choose. Kayo nang bahala. Pero pinaka-prefer ko ata yung ito, yung pinakauna. Since you are from the south going to the west, saktong-sakto, vector A is from the south, tas yung vector B going to the west as your second point. Okay, so that's it for our resultant. We have R equals to 10.19 centimeters, and the direction is south 43.41 degrees west. So, pwede nating isulat siya na parang ganito. So, parang result, yung katulad ng format nun, vector A. So, resultant, vector, a vector, tapos dash. Let's have it as 10.19 centimeters. And then 46, again, S pala, S muna. S 43.41 degrees west. Ayan. Nakita nyo naman sa ating blackboard. Okay, so thank you so much guys for listening. Hopefully you were able to understand these questions. So this is just a level 1 question for your resultant. I'll be producing more videos about resultants and its direction. So hopefully you stay tuned in Dengs TV. Until the next video, see you and bye-bye.